Welcome to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast, where trauma survivors become healthy thrivers. Each month, we'll feature a theme in the trauma recovery and empowerment field. To promote your recovery, healing, and learning how to build dreams, here's your host, Karen Robinson, transformational coach and therapist.
Welcome back to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast. Today, our guest is Kimberly Anne Bell. Kimberly is a new author, and she has a book out called The Epitome of Kimmy, Accepted and Embraced It All. So she's going to share that with us today and also share her bio information. Thanks for being here, Kim.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit first. I just love the name of your book. Like I told you, tell us what inspired you to write your novel.
Okay, well, it's a memoir, and I juggled through what title, since it's a memoir. And the first thing that I had was the last piece was Kimmy, because that was my adopted dad. I was adopted, and he's my paternal uncle, my biological father, sister, husband. So when I was raised with them, he would always say, he was the one that came up with the Kimmy, it's going to be okay. Kimmy. So I was like, okay, so I got Kimmy. And then I love music. I listen to music all the time. I wish I could have a balance of reading and music, but I can't. It's just music. It's just, I'm drawn. I just listen to all types of music throughout the day, riding and everything. And it was a artist that was singing a song, and she said during her lyrics, Epitome. And I caught it. And the way she was saying with their lyrics, I'm like pulling over, I'm Googling, and I'm like, epitome, the essence of, I said, oh my gracious. So I went home real quick, and I was like, the epitome of Kimmy. I said, that is it. How's that sound? How's that sound to everybody? I said, oh my gosh. I said, I got it. And so as I got that whole name, I recall thinking of the memoir and the journey that I had to take in writing the memoir from chapter to chapter was really shouting out that title of finding the true essence of my life. Started, from the journey, the lifetime, the starting of my foundation all the way up until where I'm at now. And that book takes you from literally, it's my only picture that I had with my adopted family. I never had or seen any infant pictures with my biological family that I stayed with up until 5 years old. No pictures of me and my sisters together. So I thought that was just profound to put that in. That was the first start of my picture. Yeah, that the first picture in my adopted household. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of my children is adopted as well. And as a social worker, I worked in the adoption field for many, many years. I'm not currently working in that world, but a lot of good and hard memories from the work. So yeah. What do you think was the most challenging piece about being adopted? And also, if it can be rewarded to be adopted, what would you say that is for you?
I really believe the challenge was I knew them. I knew my biological parents up until I was 5. So living with them, the challenge of not feeling loved by my biological mother and the rejection and the abandonment was very challenging because I started growing inside of thoughts of what was wrong with me. Why didn't they keep me? Was I not quiet enough? Was I not good enough? I tried everything to get the love from my biological mother. Now, I did feel and know up until 5 that my 2-year older sister loved me, and my biological dad loved me. Even though he was in and out the house, they were married. It was just us. but I knew it was a disconnection with my biological mother, and I couldn't figure out, and nothing that I could do could make the connection. So that was a challenge of yearning a mother that's all you knew to love you. Yeah. And then I would like to add another challenging piece, and that what I advocate about is that no one told me anything. It was like I had no voice. I was just dropped off. No one shared anything with me or even asked me. So I felt, why should I say anything? Just let anything happen.
So you felt invisible, voiceless.
Yeah. Or not justified for my feelings. Yeah.
Yeah. And so without getting into too much detail, usually when children are in households where there's disconnect, what forms of abuse did you go through because of that?
In the household that I was.
Yeah, it sounds like emotional abuse for sure with your mom.
Yeah,
but was she also
emotional, like I
physically?
tried. Yeah, she was very sharp. I remember just literally gazing and looking at this most beautiful Black woman that was so mean that I was scared to ask at times, could I go to the bathroom? I held my water because once again, I'm trying to get that connection. I'm trying to feel that love. I'm trying to get that validation. I'm trying for her to just make me feel safe and loved, and that I was, like you said, and that I was there, and I was hers, and that she would protect me. But all of those were out of veil because it never happened. And so the combing my hair was harsh. It was a feeling of an obligation that she had to do it, not a loving touch, So I remember spending, besides playing with my older sister, just trying to do whatever I could, regardless if that was silent, and not at all telling her that it's too tight or I'm hungry or I want seconds, for her to love me.
Yeah. Yeah. Is those experiences with your mom the hardest experiences of your life, or have there been other traumas that outweigh it or equal it?
No. She, the hardest, I believe, as I got older, I've always still yearned for her acceptance and her love. And I always wanted to be true to my feelings and transparent to the truth. So letting my children know the truth, that that their grandmother is their my paternal aunt, and their biological grandmother is who she is. I made sure that they knew her. I made sure that they connected with her. But the hardest harsh was her not accepting them, because they're a part of me that I love so much that I wouldn't want them to feel the void. But here you're continuing the cycle even with my children. So out of all of my children, now I have a 6-year-old, the 6-year-old, when she turned 3 years old and we still live in our hometown, I took her to her house, which was like 15 minutes away, and introduced her to her, had her another time to connect with her. And she made it obvious she still does not want a relationship with me or my children in that way, in that capacity. So I had to accept and let it go. I had to find peace within that I did all I could, but I could not be responsible, nor was I going to carry that weight in my life of her behavior or her response of not wanting to accept me or my children.
Yeah, I can imagine as a mom, like, it's one thing to feel cut by your mom, but since you're a different mom with your kids, is my very best
Exactly.
guess.
Yes.
It must have cut you really hard. It cut you
Yes.
hard too to see her reject your beautiful babies.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what happened to your mom? What was her issue? Like, was
I
she
don't know. I
abused?
still never got any answers. Like I said, she is still living. I've not got any concrete answers on why, or even a healthy relationship. It's on her terms, where it was pretty much like I'm trying to force my love or buy her love. And that's terms I just would not accept, you know? So, but I have asked out, I guess, I remember one particular time she had other kids from my father after I was separated and adopted, and they finally did get a divorce. But I remember one of my siblings, younger siblings, were having a baby or something like that. And like I said, we all still live in the same hometown, which is crazy, but it's just the fact. And I went to the hospital and I seen her, and it just was this rage of hurt coming out of me, and I wanted answers. Maybe that wasn't the best time to get it or ask, but I do remember her saying, "You have a mother." And I'm telling you, Karen, that was one. It was like she put the knife that was already in my heart, just screwed it, just twisted it, because I couldn't understand. You're saying to me, and people say I'm like, far as features, far as looks, I look more like her than any other girls. But so
Maybe that
I'm
was
still
a problem.
I'm still looking at this beautiful woman, and I'm saying, you're saying that I had a mother? This here is like a slap in my face. I didn't choose this. You chose this. I want to know why you chose this. You're my mother. So you get to just choose not to ever be my mother and give me another mother? How dare you? But I walked away. I would never, I never disrespected her. I just walked away and just cried in my car. And I'm grown and I'm just bawling because I could not understand the response when I'm just asking you why. Do you even care? And that was the response that I got. And so, like I said, being in the hometown and even, leaving for a while and coming back, I had to find peace within that. I had to let go of the yearning or the ending, the fairy tale ending that I would get this acceptance from my biological mother that I always wanted. Yeah. And that was the hardest.
Yeah. Just because we grow up with abuse or dysfunction doesn't mean we don't want the fairy tale, right?
Yes.
Sometimes we want it more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what inspired me so much to end my book the way I did, because I didn't, sometimes you don't get a fairy tale ending. Sometimes the results at the end is not peachy cream or as exciting and as glamorous as you would want it to be. And all I've ever asked, I never asked for her to make up time, but to start a relationship with me, just to accept me, just start a relationship, me as her daughter and her as my mother. And that's something I had to accept. She did not want to give, and she couldn't give. And so when you accept that, I started being able to then embrace God will take care of that void. And he has brought some beautiful women in my life. I have a beautiful godmother that I went on a cruise with her, my first cruise, my first airplane trip with her and the older ladies. She took me to a store and bought me, for the first time, brand new bra and panty sets that was matching the little, just for women that I never did, but and so she made sure she was right there during my graduation. She couldn't be there for, all the kids that I had when I, when I had, had brought all the 4 adult kids and the baby girl in the world. But she was right there during the graduation. I remember I had the second degree that I had got, I had something was going on with the financial department. I have no idea, but it was like 20 or 25 of us, maybe even more, in our county that was graduating from the school, had a bill owed before we could get our degree. I mean, the last minute, Karen, I was just like, oh my gosh. So I'm bawling and I'm calling her. And I'm like, I don't know what in the world is going on. How do I even owe a fee when I had financial assistance? And she was like, Kim, send me the information. You're going to go cross that stage.
That's right.
You're going to get that
water.
You're going to get that degree. You're going to go cross that stage and you're going to get that degree. And she made it, and she made sure it happened. And I met this woman at a conference, like now probably over 10 years ago. And she did not know me from no one. And she just gravitated to me. And like I said, the journey with my biological mom and still yearning her, and from where I wanted it to come from. I remember a period in my life, because I wasn't ready to accept or let it go. I stopped even communicating with my adopted mom for about 1.5 years. Yes, I did, because I just wanted, what I wanted. And it wasn't coming from where I wanted. So I got mad and angry.
Somebody had to pay.
Yes. Yes. But it's
not
cute,
rational.
because she remembers that period. And I tell you, when I did decide to get over myself and pick up the phone and get back in contact with her, it was just like I never missed a beat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She was right there.
Because she has unconditional love for you.
Yes, exactly. It was just like,
Mm-hmm.
So,
you said so many, you had a lot of nuggets there. I don't even know where to start. Like, wow, that was a lot. Yeah. So how did you turn out so well for having a mom that, didn't give a damn?
You said, how did I turn out so well? Oh my gracious. Oh Lord. Well, thank you. But I've been through. And it's amazing, because I'm so glad that you share with me about your being an adopted parent,
Mm-hmm.
and so I have to give my adopted parents, even though I went through some things with them in that household, not intentionally. I really believe they did the best they could.
Mm-hmm.
They were in a different era, so they were a lot older than me. I was the only child there. They had no training. They didn't go through and they were very religious. So they were African Methodist Episcopal, where prayer was the key. Nothing else. Nothing else.
Let's pray it away.
That's the answer, right there. That's the answer. But like I said, even though going through things in that household, that I don't believe that was intentionally meant to hurt me, it shaped me, because had they did not step in my life and open their heart, I wouldn't be sitting here telling my story, and I wouldn't be the Kimmy, I am. And so I have to say that they were definitely a part of me, as you said, how well I turned out, because they made sure they planted seeds, especially my adopted dad. I used to get up in the middle of the night, and it's so powerful. I tell people, kids are like sponges. They observe, and they take in and they soak in so much. And I remember him praying, and I'm saying, who in the world? I said, he is really serious. He prays to this God all the time. And he would go around spirituals and still I'm also observing the stability. I never seen lights being off. I never seen phones being off. I never seen them going at it like I previously seen physical abuse in my home before, verbal abuse in my home before, I got there. And I seen them, even though they wasn't touchy feely, but I seen a love. I seen a teamwork. I seen them, and I seen so much value, and they were starting that foundation of values and morals in life, even down to my work ethics, that if they hadn't been placed in my life, I wouldn't have that. So I'm just blessed. Like I said, I'm blessed to have had my adopted father and my adopted mother in my life. They went through their own challenges, especially her, because she couldn't have any kids. And I was pretty much like her baby. And it took, Karen, until I'm down near almost 50. But it took me and my adopted mom to her kind of really get that this wasn't any, it wasn't an intentional hurt for her of me not really connecting to her as a mom as she was to her mother. She really nailed, it took this book being released, and it took me being my age and having my own children for her to really get and accept, to not take it personal. That she, yes, because she really
feels that way.
Yes, because she really, I can remember and recall a lot of times she was taking my love still and my yearning for my biological mother personal against her.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's just too not enough knowledge about how adoption works and how grief and loss works.
Right. Yeah. And so she gets it a little bit now better. And I tell her, and I said, she was in the hospital like a couple of times last year. She's in her 80s, and bless her heart, she's just as stubborn as she was when I was still want to live alone and stuff. So I'm in the hospital with her, and I remember we were having a little, conversation, a little personal conversation. She already knows my book is released and stuff like that. And she just asked me, she says, well, you will always be my baby. I said, yeah, I will, because she will always see me as that. But I said, and Mom, I will always love you. That love that I could give.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wanted to mention a book. It just seems like a good time to do that for anyone who's listening who is adopted or plans to adopt, or is adopted, or who has already adopted. There's a really great book called The Primal Wound. And it's about the first wound in life is whether we're loved and taken care of by our biological mothers. It's the first loss when that doesn't happen. And it's a very, it describes the connection babies have with their mothers in utero and what it's like to be separated out of utero.
Okay.
So the book is written by a woman who's a psychologist, but she also adopted a child.
Okay.
And when her daughter grew up, she interviewed her daughter to try to understand more of when things didn't go right in their relationship. For example, Gotcha Day. Have you ever heard of Gotcha Day?
Mm-mm.
It's the day the adoptive family makes the adoption official.
Oh, really?
It's a big party.
Okay. Gotcha Day.
And so some adopted kids love it because they get gifts and they finally have a place of love and acceptance. Other adopted kids, it's another reminder that my birth family doesn't want me or couldn't take care of me or whatever what the reason is. And so it's a trigger for some kids, and to celebrate a trigger every year, And the same with birthdays. Some, kids love their birthday. Right. Other kids, it was another reminder.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's the book is just very well done on seeing all the sides of adoption, the adoptive mother side, the adopted child side. And she does try to talk about the birth mother side as well. So it's a complicated process, and anyway, I read the book before I adopted my daughter. And
Mhm.
when I brought her home from the hospital, because I adopted her when she was a newborn, she wouldn't stop crying.
Mhm.
And so I just looked into her eyes and I just said to her, um, I know I'm not her, but I'm really going to do all I can to love you.
Oh,
And
look at that.
she stopped crying.
Oh, you're making me
Yeah.
want to tear up on that one. Oh my gosh, because you get it. You get
Yeah.
it. Oh my gosh. Yes. I'm glad you read that book. Now just think if you hadn't read that book, like we were just sharing that my family, my adopted mom and my adopted dad had no training.
Right.
And she had a loss prior. I don't know how long before they adopted me, but I do know that she couldn't have any children. So I was like, and she was telling me that she would periodically say to her dad, to my father, which is her big brother, if she doesn't want her, I want her. I want her. She can be my baby. She can be my
Yeah.
baby.
That
So
didn't
I was
help you
like,
though.
I was like a replacement. Like
Yeah.
she could be my baby because I want a baby. I can't have babies. I want a baby. You know what I mean? But if you're not being trained, you're getting a baby that, like you said, that the first initial loss was so traumatizing that I
Mhm.
could not feel that void and no amount of love that you have lost that you want. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But that is so cute. So cute. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a powerful moment. I was like, wow. And it's one of those moments too. You're like, holy crap. Sometimes the things that you read, it's like, this
Yeah.
shit worked. It's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
But she got, God is good to both of them because she got the pleasure and those moments. Now I'm thinking about what you're just saying of teaching me how to ride my bike, those birthdays, those dressing me up, those little cute, dresses and the pantyhose and the little black. So she, she got her baby that she was able to, she got the blessing that I was. So
Mhm.
I'm just happy to know
Life
that.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, life is funny. Yeah. And another thing we have in common too, like my aunt and uncle didn't adopt me, but they were my guardians. I ran away from home and they took me in. And so,
Oh,
and we're wonderful parents. So
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So we have
Yes.
that
So
in
we have that
common.
in common.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you do for your career? Like I know you're this amazing author now. What do you do? What else do you do?
I am a case manager. I'm one of the best. One of the best case managers I've been working at. Yes. Let me tell you. Look, I failed to do it so much. You can't take shit away from me now.
That's right.
Right?
I'm always telling,
It's about time.
yeah.
So yeah, I've been in the public sector for years, working out in the community, and I just love helping people navigate resources. I help, dealing with issues. I help, if they can't get what they want from the state. I'm the one that's saying, why? What can we do to make it happen? And if we can't make it happen, I mean, how can I make this a little easier for them to just accept what can happen. So I love what I do. It's just been so crazy because this year, I'm all my years of being in the public sector, I've worked with diversity of different families. But this past year on my caseload, I have been so excited because this is the first time of the different nationalities. And I've been getting that from the lives. Like I'm so connected with the Russians, the Arabic, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, what am I like leading to?
That's awesome. I thought you were going to say
Yes,
more
it is.
Hispanics.
It's
No,
so cute
Russians.
because their representative, their daughters or, their cousins or whoever that I can speak to on behalf, they're just like, Miss Kim, you are just so pleasant. You're just such the sweetest. I got your Christmas card. He just loves it. He just asks us about you all the time. And I'm like, yes, I love it. So it's just like, I got family. Oh,
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's really beautiful. So you're a caseworker full time. children, adults,
Case manager,
families?
yeah, adults, yeah, and their families, yeah.
Is it case manager mental health or Department of Social Services?
No, it's I used to be a caseworker and DSS, but no, this is pretty much with the mental Department of Hygiene is to advocate. They have to get eligible for a program through the Maryland and have to meet certain criteria. And then I make sure that a plan of services is written up on their requests and stuff like that, and advocate and make sure they're lined up and keep it going year after year after year that they're eligible for. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you live in Maryland?
Yeah, I've been doing that over 7 years now. Yes, I live in Maryland. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I interview people from all over the world, so I forget to ask people, where are you joining us from? Yeah, I think that must be the most basic question podcasters probably ask. And I'm like, no, let's get to the juicy stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, well, you're close by to me. I'm in Virginia. I don't know if you knew that.
Okay, yes, yeah.
Okay, so you are a caseworker full-time. This memoir that you've written, is it sparking some side hustle? Like, are you wanting to be a coach or write other books? Like, what's your future look like?
Yeah, I know. I'm just, I'm at the season of my life. I have 4 adult children and I have that one minor. Mine, yay, she's 6 years old. I tell her every day she's getting old. Oh, Jesus. But since the book had been out, I really know that my journey with what I'm doing, God has something much greater and much more of my purpose to do than being a supervisor for, because I did decline that position last year. So I'm just a regular case manager, doing my cases, keeping it monitored and stuff like that, but no money or title can move me to, I know that my purpose is fulfilled there on that day. So I'm just now just seeing how God is going to open, since this book has been out, of what is next for me. And trust and believe whatever opens up, I'll know that that's the purpose for me to move from this over 8 years to, yeah.
Okay, so more to come from you is what I'm hearing. More to come from you is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, more.
Yeah, and so because podcast episodes live forever, whatever you're doing next, if you have a website or write more books, I want you to contact me because I can add those things to the show notes. So 5 years down the road, if there's a survivor and she wants to listen to the episode that you're on, she has these other resources that you're doing too.
Yeah. Oh, great. I know that I won another book and that should be released in August, and that's pretty much in between. I remember this when I was doing DUI counseling, and I came across this poem, The Dash by Linda Ellis, I believe. And it was just so, each time I would go on that session and read it to the group and ask them what did they think about that. It's so enlightening when you think about those dashes in your life of how, the moves of it and how beyond your control, and really people only remembers, quite frankly, of the outcome of those dashes. I remember my dad used to say, he only had a 3rd grade education, my adopted dad, and he said, baby, he said, Kimmy, people may forget your title. They may even forget your name or how many kids you have or who you got married to. But one thing they will never forget is how you made them feel. So I always kept that in mind. And so that next book, I want to be more about, I really pretty much did my memoir where you could really follow my life from the importance on my 4 births of my children, 5, was in there. All my marriages are in there. But this next book is going to be in between those things that I couldn't put in because it was more of following my foundations, my schooling up until, the middle school, the high school, all the way to, the births of my kids and the marriage and stuff. But the in between, those traumatic experiences through the church, through dating that I found myself in and had to deal with. Yeah. To where I'm at now.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So you connected the book you were reading to your dashes.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty friggin' powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the book you're talking about is it literally called Dashes?
No. That was the poem that I was referring to that I remember.
It's a poem. Okay.
Yeah. Called The Dash by Linda Ellis. And I started as I was, reading my own book and thinking of the next book, because the way it ends up, I had readers say, I feel there's another book inside of you, because we're like, what's next? What's next? And so, yeah. So I'm like, okay. And then I started remembering through my DUI counseling moments that point. And I said, yeah. So, yeah.
Now,
and it's crazy because one of my daughters that I was saying about the second book that's inside of me, that I want to keep this pattern going as far as not sitting on it. Last August, my first book, the memoir, was released. I want my second book in August to be released. And she's texting me back and said, I don't know if you're doing a third book, but I think if you are, the last book or the third book is going to be a daughter and a mother book. And I already got the title. I'm like, oh my God.
She's so presumptuous. Where did she get that from?
That's the middle adult girl in the middle and I'm like, wow. I'm like, okay, I am doing this thing.
So you are an author then, like it wasn't a fluke, this one-time thing. Yeah. I mean, I guess authors can be a one-time thing, but it's beautiful when it can lead to other avenues.
Right.
Yeah, because you've got stories that people need to hear.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we actually have to start wrapping up, I hate to say.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. I'm really glad you told me about the poem.
This has been so nice. It's just so comfortable. Like we could I'm just like, hand me your water.
It might the fireplace in the background too. We have a gas fire.
I see it. It does look cozy.
Yeah, I love it. Like I'm a woman of a certain age, and sometimes I have hot flashes, but it's been cold and it's been wonderful to have that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll wrap up. I want to just ask a final question. So knowing that the women listening are women like us that have been through trauma, what is not your last words? You're not dying today. What are your parting words of inspiration or hope that you could give them today?
I would
before
say
I kill you off.
Huh?
Before I kill you off.
I have my little shirt I'm going to get ready to stand up and promote. But I would say, one thing, if you're going through anything similar or, have similar events that have happened, is that you have a choice and you can make that choice for the better for your life. I was stuck into believing or not accepting that I had a choice and that I could choose the best for me, So I would leave that first with them. And then on the book, I came across this accept and embrace it all. So, and I lived that. So that I would leave is accept first that this is real. This is a reality. And then embrace, it doesn't have to end any way that you choose not for it not to end.
It's pretty powerful stuff. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Kimmy, for being with us today.
Thank you, Karen. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for listening in today. Please join us next week, same day and time. Also, I would love for you to check out my website, healthrivedream.com.